The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, or perhaps good afternoon, everyone. This is Alan of DevOps, and thanks for joining us for our DevOps.com webinar. Today's webinar, sponsored by IBM, features the pleasure of meeting originally back at the IBM Interconnect Conference in Los Angeles. I might have had a problem there with muting. Okay. Igal, thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar, by the way, is on efficiency and high quality, and it's actually a bit of a case study on Igal's experiences with NICE Actimize. Go to webinar control panel, and for our we have set a conclusion of today's webinar to have questions for Igal and the rest of our panelists, including Shimon Nir and our, but we ask that you put questions into the question section of the GoToWebinar control panel. And it looks like someone said sound is interesting. I hope that that's corrected itself now. If not, please let us know in the question section, and we will work at that. Yep, I'm in the green under audio, but we will do a look at that. Anyway, if you could ask your questions in the question section of our GoToWebinar control panel, and then in the chat section, having any audio or slides moving around, you can actually type in, try to help you out there. I'm going to try to keep my speaking to a minimum because it sounds like we're having issues on audio. So with that being said, let me turn things over to Igal. Igal, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you. Hi, Alan.
Yep. Good. Igal, I'm still having these audio issues, so I'm going to try to minimize my voice while I look into this. But why don't you take things over if you don't mind?
Sure, no problem. So thanks, Alan. I'm very happy to be with you today and to present the presentation that I'm sharing today is something that I gave in this year Interconnect. Of course, I would like to start with the credit to Shimon Nir from IBM, that was deeply involved with the IBM tool that we implement as part of our Agile transformation. So let me start. Just a little bit about myself. I'm married with 3 kids. I'm in NICE Actimize, and I will speak about NICE Actimize more in a minute. I'm more than 6 years. I'm the VP Global Customer Support, which is also responsible for the program managers, or whoever is familiar with SAFe, the RTEs. I'm responsible for the technical writers and the Agile transformation team. Before I worked for Kodak for 17 years in different positions. The last one was the worldwide system testing section head. I'm very involved with a testing community. So I'm a member of the ICQB and executive member in the executive board in the Israeli Test and Certification Board. So just that's about myself. So let me explain a little bit about NICE Actimize. So in one sentence, we actually stop bad people from doing bad things. We are in the financial markets, and actually we're trying to, with our application, we are monitoring any activity in the financial market, in aim avoiding any fraud or anti-money laundering. We're building a structure of line of business. So we have 5 line of business. I will not go deeply into each of them, but just to say in overall, each of the line of business is dealing with specific area in the financial market. One line of business is dealing with transferring money from one account to another, a customer due diligence, other is dealing with credit cards, deposit, debits, employee frauds. The other one is more with regarding the market, the financial market compliance, so stock exchange and things like that. And we have also the line of business, which is the platform. So why I'm telling you all this, not to teach you a little bit about or to give you more exposure about NICE Actimize, is more to tell you about the complexity of our business. So we have different line of business, which in each of the line of business we have the general manager, the professional services, the product, the R&D, the QA, and many other functions that supporting that. And there are a lot of dependencies in between the different line of business and the platform, and in between the line of business themselves. So just to say a few words, a few words about NICE Actimize. So we are really leading in this market. 10 of the top US banks are our customers. As you can see, the same in Europe. The numbers say a lot. We have more than 360 customers, and when I'm saying customer, we're talking about the big banks, which they have more than millions or hundreds of millions of customers. So let's start. What you can see here, it's a car racing court, and I use these analogies to tell you the case study. When it's coming to car racing, you know, there are sponsors. And this is actually a real sponsor of Formula One, and they are also our customers. As you can see, Citi, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Bank of America. So first we need to take in account our customer. And when we come into the finish line, we actually wanted to be more agile. Like when we took the decision, I will say 1.5 years ago, and we said, okay, we want to become an agile, we wanted to come to the line where we will say, okay, we are more agile, we are a domain knowledgeable team that delivers high quality innovation software product on time. So why we actually wanted to do this journey and move to agile? First, we wanted to improve the efficiency and productivity. As I told you, we are a very complex organization, and efficiency is always a place for improvement. Quality. It's not like we did a good job with the product, but it's become more complex, and when you become big, you cannot continue in the same way that you're doing today. It's not scale anymore. So quality includes many aspects. And just to let you know, when we are developing a product until it's fully implemented in the customer side, it can take a year and more. So there are many things that happen in between that might impact the quality. Alignment and collaboration. Remember the line of business and the platform and the dependencies between them. It's very complex. So we wanted to improve the alignment and the collaboration. And innovation. Innovation is very important. We need to be first in the market. We need to do innovative product and be ready for any challenge that we have in this arena. So we wanted to improve the innovation as well. And business agility. There are always things that need to come to the market faster. There is a regulation change in our business, and to be able to address all these, we need to be more agile. So just a little bit to talk about SAFe. So we picked actually when we said that we move into Agile, and because that we are enterprise company, we decided to go with SAVE, which is the Scale Agile framework for enterprise company. And let me explain you a little bit about it by, sorry.
Should we do the polling question, Yigal? Is this
Sure.
a good spot? Okay. So Deb, can we, there we go.
Hopefully my audio is working. Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I tried everything while we were off. Okay. So what is your skill level in enterprise scale agile methodologies? And formally trained and certified, self-taught, experienced as a practitioner or leader, general understanding but no real experience, or maybe you're new to the whole enterprise scale agile frameworks. And if you guys can answer, we'll close voting down in just about 5 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And polling shows, oh, that's a little general understanding but no experience is over 40%. Yigal, is this about what you expected?
So just can you repeat about the answer? Sorry.
I'm sorry, I thought you could see them up on the screen. So general understanding but no experience came in at 41%. I'm new to all this, was at 17%. And experienced as a practitioner or a leader was also 17%. Formally trained and certified and self-taught came in at 14 and 12%, you know, as respectively.
Okay, so I will touch that a little bit, and I will try to explain what SAFE means, okay? So actually there are 4 layers in the SAFE methodology. The first layer is the team layer. We have a team, a squad, which is a combination of R&D, QA, Scrum Master, Product Owner. I think it's the same practices that we all familiar with the Scrum methodology. The cadence that we picked in Actimize is the 2 weeks cadence. And every 4 to 5, it depends on the calendar, 4 to 5 iteration, we are doing the IP iteration, which is for innovation and planning. Sorry. The second layer is actually the program layer. Here you can see the RTE, the release train engineer, or in other words, the program manager, that working very closely with the teams, with the Scrum Master, is actually Scrum of Scrums, to make sure that whatever the team are committed are in progress and are meeting their content. But in the same time is making sure that we are building the backlog to the next PI planning. So the RT is working very close with the system architect, the product management, with the R&D directors, and with all the relevant people that actually are responsible to create more requirements, more user stories into the backlog, so the team will be able to do the next PI planning. And every iteration we have a system demo, and of course the idea is for one iteration to another is to create more and more business value. The third layer is a value stream. So the main purpose of the value stream is actually to align between the trains. As you can understand, based on the line of business structure that I shared with you previously, we have few trains. We actually have 6 trains, and there are dependencies between them. For that, we have the value stream engineer that doing the same as the RT, but now is responsible for the dependencies between the trains. In the same times, we have a shared resources, like we have a resources that dealing with infrastructure for DevOps and continuous integration. And of course, we are using a set of metrics that I will touch on some of them later, that helping us to monitor better the progress of the different trains. The last layer is the portfolio, which is here we have the program portfolio management. So in case that the company decided to take a big epic, for example, we want to be more in machine learning or big data, for example. So it's something that we need to take a strategic decision with a budget, and the program portfolio management taking this epic and breaking it into the different teams. So it will be able to create a plan where we start in first with which train, with which LOB, what we want to achieve in the first year, and then you can report back to the management on the progress. So in one end, you can see that in the team level, we are very agile, the same like Scrum, but at the same time with the complexity of our organization, the different layer is needed as well. So we still need to come with a strategic plan and roadmap for long term. We still need to do dependencies, or we still need to manage better the dependencies between the different LOBs. So this is why we actually decided to go with SAFe methodology. So, you know, before you pick the car, you need to have a good chassis. So actually, when I'm saying chassis, it means that we need to pick the tool to support us with this methodology. We decided that we cannot go and implement Agile and SAFe without also choosing the right tool. So we did some POCs with Rally, with version 1, with Agile Manager of HP. But in the end, as you can see, we picked IBM. And why we actually picked IBM? There were a few reasons for that. First, very simple, Gartner recommendation. We are really looking into it and taking it seriously. We looked for a tool that actually supporting the SAFe methodology that we picked. From functionality perspective, there were a few things that were important for us. So we wanted to make sure that we have a Kanban board for epics, features, stories, and tasks. We can have the WIP, definition of done, multi-projects, the dependencies as I described before, and also advanced reporting and dashboard. And all this, of course, covered by IBM. We also wanted to have the ability for release planning and tracking, resources allocations, user interface, and interfaces to other tools like the bug reporting that we use in our quality center, which is our testing management tool. And also in the end, we wanted to see how much effort we need to put in the implementation. We knew from day one that it's not going to be, you know, plug and play, but also it's not plug and pray as well, but it's taking time. We knew that it's complex. We knew that there are many teams, many squads. There are special requests that we can with, but it was important for us to see that it's what is the implementation effort. So let's start. Let's see the journey. One sec. Sorry, there is a networking issue. That's it. Okay, so we start the journey, and when we're looking on the back mirror, I can say that we already 1 year, let's say almost 1.5 years after the implementation. We have 6 arcs, 6 trains that already fully implemented. We have a line cadence for the entire organization, which was a very challenging goal. We complete the training with the entire teams with the different levels from the basic training through the Scrum Master, RTEs, product owners, etc. And we implemented the RTC. We can see that we have a much better, closer work with the product and the professional services. Professional services are the team that actually implementing our product by increasing visibility and opportunity to impact in the way that we work in today. And when we are creating and building our backlog, the professional services, as well as today, by the way, the customer support, are providing feedbacks and can impact on the backlog, which was not the case in the past. We see a lot of improvement in the requirements maturity. We know that it's always an issue that the requirements are either coming late or not mature enough, or both. But now that we're working with the cadence and we have the PI planning, so things are coming just on time and much more mature than before. Again, short cycles, fast feedback, not like before when we've been more waterfall. The developers were coming late with their code, and then the testing was done late. The feedbacks come late, and then when we wanted to do something or fix things, it was too late, and we were supposed to release it to our customer as committed. So now it's a short cycle, fast feedbacks, which is a very good change. We have much more focus on the value-added work as a result of the way that we are working. And we also launched the quality program, which includes a few things, but the main one is the zero bug approach. The idea behind it is that any bug that's found on the new features must be fixed. It doesn't matter what is the severity or the priority of it. It must be fixed. We don't want to release something on new features. So it's a big change and big change in the mindset as well. So all this has already been achieved, and all the trends, all the teams are working according to that. Okay, let me skip that. It's just a question on the way how you should take the cycle. But when we're doing something like that, and again, think about of hundreds of people, 6 trains, a very complex organization. For that to be able to succeed in such implementation, we need a good team. So do you know what is a pit stop in car racing? So let's see, I don't know if you know, but how much time it takes to replace 4 wheels in a car during the car racing. But let me show you. Sorry. Oops, I think that something went wrong with the presentation. Sorry. Sorry, this is the Prezi. I'm very, very sorry about it. I don't know what's happened, but let me see. Okay, so you heard how much time it's taking to replace 4 wheels. I think that the video here is broken, so I'm sorry about it. But yes, it's 2.2 seconds. Something got mixed in the presentation, to be honest with you. I don't know what is actually happening here. So let's see regarding the RTC supporting safe implementation. How actually RTC helped us to support the safe implementation. So that I decided to pick 4 main phases, important phases that we see RTC as a really great helpful on them. So the first one is the discovery. The discovery is the part that we are gathering all the requirements before going to the PI planning. The second is with regarding the PI planning, and I'm going to touch more on each of them. The third one is the PI and the iteration, execution, and follow-up. And the fourth one is with regarding quality definition of that. So let's go one by one and start with the discovery. Okay, so the discovery, as you remember, it's in the program level where the RTE and the product, R&D director, and the architects are sitting together in a weekly basis and try to build the pipeline for the backlog. So as you can see here, we have a Kanban board, like a funnel, where it's starting with a draft. We are reviewing it, analyzing it, and of course until it's become approved. And once it has been approved, we actually ready to take it to the team for the PI planning. So this is actually very easy to follow up and monitor in a weekly basis. So as I said, the discovery is for the RTEs, product manager, PO architect, and of course dev and QA manager. You can see also the feature Kanban board here in the level of the feature Kanban board. So it's another view. Okay, let's go to the PI planning. So what you can see here is actually the board for the PI planning. So the different colors are related to the different teams. So the colors are the squads. So you can see all the user stories that the team actually committed, and by doing in the PI planning the management review, it's very easy to follow up. We improved that, and we have more GUI changes with including dependencies and arrows and things like that, but it's definitely really helpful when we're doing the PI planning. Here you can see the squad board. So you can see only one squad. So all the status story that is assigned to specific PI. The team are entering the velocity, and based on that we can do the planning. So during the breakout session, the teams are doing refining to the stories, estimating it, and then they need to present it in the draft and of course in the final plan to the entire train. You can see here also a squad dashboard. We keep enhancing it all the time, but there are different squad dashboards. This is the squad dashboard, so you can see the iteration Kanban boards, the team members that, if you want to understand who are the team members, the velocity of the team, as you can see here, the iteration progress, the CFD, the cumulative flow diagram. And there are more and more. We keep enhancing it and all the time, and there are more and more views that we're including to help the team to get to improve from one PI to another. Here you can see the PI feature status. So you can pick the PI, the number of the PI that we are working, and you can see actually all the user stories all the features, and how many actually have been accepted, done, or in progress, or was not progress at all. So you can see with a quick view, you can understand where we're standing with our commitments in specific PI. Okay. Here you can see the iteration Kanban board. We define in a WIP limit in each of the columns, and we define also a card, a story display. So this is what actually the squads together with the PO are reviewing in their daily stand-up meetings. We have also the view of the dependencies. We are going to improve it more, but for now, as you can see, we have two views. One is in the art between the different squads, but also in between the trains, as I mentioned, with the value stream layer. So you can see all the dependencies while we're finishing the planning. You can see all the dependencies in between the arts and in between the teams. And of course, it helps the team to follow up all these dependencies. Now, when we're talking about quality, we define a definition of done. Definition of done is done in different levels. So we have in a story level, in the feature level, in the release level. And each of them, we have a specific checklist that the team need to meet. So when they put in the estimation on a specific user story, they also need to take in account all the definition of done that we define. So we implemented here, you can see a list of checkboxes that the team need to be filled before the user story will be accepted by the PO. And you can see here also by feature in a story the definition of done tracking. So it's like a Sudoku, but it's really helping the RT and the team to make sure that everything is met, and we are using it also as part of our release readiness gate before we are releasing to make sure that nothing was missed and whatever was committed was fully filled. Now, when we're talking about KPIs, there are many KPIs, and of course I will be more than happy to share more about them later on. But just, and there is always a question, are we progressing in the right direction? Can we see improvement in the quality? It's not an easy question, and it's not always easy to show that also after 1.5 years. But I can tell you that we can see a positive indicators that are telling us that since we implemented SAFe and we moved to Agile, we can see some improvements in the quality. In some parts, it's slight improvements, but in others, it's much more than we had before. So here you can see, for example, a product, and you can see the versions before SAFe, before we move to SAFe, and after SAFe. And what you can see, in these bars, you can see that the navy part is the version leftovers, the number of bugs that left over after we released the version. So you can see that in the end of the day, there were many bugs open, known issues when we released the version. Now, the first release after the Agile was very close to the implementation, so you can see the same behavior. But as we move in with the Agile, you can see that the numbers of the open issues was reduced. Also, the numbers of the bugs that were open was dramatically reduced. So people found things, the QA found issues, the dev fixed it immediately. So they didn't have to spend time to report them, but in the same time, the number here is very lower compared to the past. I can tell you that now it's even much lower, and we're trying to get it to 1, 2, or even 0. So this is definitely a good indicator for us. Another indication is the external SRs. SRs are actually defects, the backlog of the external. So customers are reporting on tickets, and we were not always able to on time, but we put a target that we want to see for one PI to another PI reduction of at least 5%. And this is actually, since the team started, you can see the reduction. And now I can say that I have much more product with this direction of reduction, which is another a good indicator for us that the team able by working on Agile to spend some time also on quality. Here it's the PS, non-billable hours. So when we are going to implementation, the professional services reporting defects, and there was always a complaint that the quality of the product causing delays on the implementation, and we can understand the impact on that and on the customer, of course. What we can see here that since we start with Agile, we can see a reduction, the amber bars, we can see a reduction on the product issue. So PS are facing much less product issues. This is, by the way, not with the absolute number. This is in hours that they are reporting. But we can see that there are there are less and less hours that they are spending because of the product quality issues, which is another important indication for us, which we couldn't achieve before moving to Agile. The last one is regarding the velocity. We can see that from one PI to another, the velocity of the team is increasing. Of course, there are some teams that keep changing from different reasons. We are increasing the size of the team. We are creating more global teams, which require some effort and training. So we can see some reflection on the velocity, but where it's stable, we can see that it's keep increasing for one PI to another.
Yigal, this is Amy. Before you go
Yes,
on,
Amy.
there is a question. So if you could go back to the slide where you're talking about the lower defects. I just wanted to get this question in context.
Yeah.
So the question was something about same timing between the version releases. So the question is about pre-safe, doing work pre-safe before your transformation, and post-safe where your releases are 1 month apart versus maybe a longer cadence. The bug report would obviously be lower. So the question is, before you transform to Agile, are you measuring apples to apples here? I think that's basically the question.
Yes, so it's a good question, and as I said, it's very difficult to measure apple to apples, but when we're looking, and again, you need to count on me, but when we're looking on these different releases, we actually ask ourselves, okay, how many features were involved in each release? What was the level of the complexity of this feature? So in that terms, it's almost apple to apple. When I'm saying that, when I'm comparing the latest release that we have in SAFE to previous one, so it's almost the same amount of feature, almost the same complexity, with the same amount of developers. So in the end of the day, it's not like I'm picking a very minor release compared to a very big or GA release. It's all of them are GA release. All of them have the same number of features with very close complexity, with minor changes. But yes, it's like when we compare it, it's definitely almost apple to apple.
Thanks, Yigal.
Okay, so I just want to put a few words about IBM and Actimize, and I think that the best word is a partnership. As I told you, we are a very complex organization. There is a lot of challenges. It took us time to pick the tool, but we knew that once we will pick the tool, we will need the assistance from whoever we are picking, and as you know, we picked IBM. I mentioned Shimon here, and I'm giving him the credit again. And of course, Amy and the team was working with us very closely with hearing, understanding what are the needs, what are the challenges. And without all this partnership model, we couldn't achieve what we achieved in the last few months. So as I said, there is a close and continuous on-site support from IBM. First, they understood our needs, how we are working. They help us with the implementations. We had a lot of professional meetings to come with ideas, how we can improve the product, what are the missing parts that we need, or maybe there are things that we didn't knew about them. We started to discuss about the DNG, the Doors New Generation, and etc. I think that in the end of the day, it was a very positive approach, which without that we couldn't achieve what we achieved so far. So I would say that we finished one cycle of the race. So what's next? We really want to move to a full traceability. We'll not say application life management, which is a big word, but we want to create full traceability. We are progressing with the DNG implementation. So we will be able to manage better our requirements document. There are more requirements document like specs, PRDs, and things like that. And we are a minute before launching this part. We're already behind the POC. We want to include into the RTC and to use the defect management system. Today, it's in a different tool, and it's not easy. We need to create integration between the tools. We prefer to work on the same tool, so when the team are working on the RTC, they will be able to open defect as well. And we want to do the DevOps integration with all the things that related to source controls, CI, continuous integration, DevOps, and etc. We are working now on adding another tabs with regarding the release management, so we will be able to monitor and manage better the release management. And later on, we hope to include also the testing management, which is now on our quality center. So all the test cases and the execution of them will be managed also by the IBM tool. So there are still a lot of things to do, but I can say that there are more than 400 people, 6 trains that already using RTC in a day-to-day basis, monitoring the work, reporting into it, feeding requirements, and this is the language that we have. We're not using Excel, so we are not using any other tools. Everything is actually shared from the RTC, which is a great achievement. So this is actually the journey that we did so far, and I think that I'm open to questions.
Great. Excuse me. Hi, Gal. We do have a few questions. Actually, the good news is Amy's done a great job in the background of answering questions as they were asked in real time. Unfortunately, I don't know if we saved them or shared them with the entire audience, but we will include those with the slides and the recording of this on devops.com within the next 24 hours. With that being said, let us grab a couple of the questions that are outstanding still. And one of them is a great one from Chuck. And Yigal, he wanted to talk, can you please talk about some of the challenges faced and how you overcame them? Maybe a few examples. How you didn't overcome
them. So first, we didn't have any challenges. It was very smooth. No, I'm joking. But seriously, I think that there were many challenges in different aspects. I think that the first challenge that we had is with the decision that we took to implement all Actimize at the same time. So in 3 months, we actually launched all the 6 trains. That was a big challenge. It's a challenge because in that period, you need to train more than 400 people. You need to create the infrastructure. You need to coach the teams. You need to be, and it's new for us as well. Okay, so I think that was a very big challenge, but we overcome it because I believe because 2 things. First one, we have the full support of the top management for that. By the way, the decision of moving to SAFe was top-down. The management were sitting and picking the right methodology. The management started with the training, and some of us are also SPC certified. So all the management were fully on board, and it's helped. We didn't saw any challenges from the management, which is already 50% to the success of this implementation. And I think that we looked on that as a project. We put everything on a big Excel with a very clear milestone, and we treat it as a project. And I think that this is the two things that really help us to overcome it. That was the first and the main challenge. I think that the second challenge that we saw a few months later is with regarding the engagement of the middleware management. It from the team leaders and also the R&D directors. SAFE actually introduced new roles and different behaviors. You know, suddenly we have a program manager and RTE that facilitate and lead in many activities. And we hear it more than once that people feel that there are too many people cooking in the kitchen. And we realized actually that the middleware management had a big concerns, like what it means for them, how their new rule will look. They will continue to impact, they will continue to influence, and I think that also that we did a training, we realized that we actually missed something here, and now we invest in much more in these teams by creating forums, engaging them, putting them as a trainer, you know, like we train them so they can train the teams. So we see improvement on that, but that was another challenge that we felt after a few months. Of course, there are more challenges, but I think that this is the two main ones that took us a lot of time.
All right, Gal, I have one more question for you, and then I want to give Amy about 5 minutes to go over some things here, and then we'll return to some questions. But here's another question. What was the key advance that SAFE brought you over and above beyond moving simply to an agile approach?
So, as I said in the beginning, we realized that just moving to Agile and moving all the team to work in Scrums, it's nice, but it's not enough because of the complexity, because of the dependencies, because the way that our market, the financial market, is working. There are still things that we need to do, which sometimes look not as agile, but are needed. When you look on the program level, so you have a program manager and you have a lot of, I would say, phases and things that are not really agile, but in the end of the day are needed. We cannot just release as every, you know, like cloud company or mobile company or something like that. And at the same time, we felt that there are big epics that we need to deal as an organization, which are innovation epics and things that we need to deal with, as I mentioned, like big data. You cannot do it just with breaking it into the Scrum teams. You need to take it all the way. So definitely SAFE was the right approach to address the way that we are working and the challenges that we have with all the dependencies and the way that we are spread it all over the world. So
I think we might have lost Igal.
yeah, sorry, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so again, that's why we actually feel that SAFE is much fit to our needs than just moving to Agile.
Excellent. Before we go further, when we do have a bunch more questions, we'll do our best to get to them. Amy, I wanted to give you a few minutes to talk a little bit about CLM and SAFE and so forth. Why don't you go ahead?
Thanks, Alan. So just really quickly, I only have 2 slides. Some of you may be aware that SAFE 4.5 was announced last Thursday, the 22nd. What you've seen from Igal and his team is adoption of SAFE 4.0, which was the previous release. So I just wanted to say a few things about what we're doing to really go after 4.5 very quickly. If you're not familiar with it, SAFE 4.5 is basically simplifying their big picture, simplifying some of the concepts, and really going after higher level of configurability, which isn't actually a new thing for people that are looking at SAFE. It really is just a framework, and you use what works for you. You take the parts that make sense for you, as Agile's team has certainly done. But SAFE is really making that front and center now with SAFE 4.5, and they've also renamed the framework to be SAFE for Lean Enterprises, which I happen to really love because it is all about scaling Agile to achieve a lean enterprise. The third thing that they've done that I really am a huge fan of is renaming the value stream layer to be a solution layer, which is actually how I represent it when I talk with customers all the time, is that layer below portfolio is really about solution elaboration. So let me just walk you through very quickly what the 4 configurations are. And there's nothing new about it, it's just more of a formalization of it. So full SAFE is everything in the big picture. It's like 4-level SAFE in version 4. Portfolio SAFE is like 3-level in version 4, so no solution layer. Large solution SAFE, this is a new conceptually, and it is for organizations that really don't need the portfolio layer. Maybe they're doing that somewhere outside the framework. Yeah, in many enterprises, there isn't really a way to impact portfolio planning and the business level decision making. So maybe you just want to look at large solution SAFE, which is the solution, program, and team. And then finally, essential SAFE, which is where most people start, although Agile's organization is an interesting subset of the pattern that we see typically. When he described that they took the approach that was top down, most organizations really do work bottom up. In any case, all 4 of the configurations are already supported by CLM with the SAFE templates, and there are some changes that we need to kind of peel back the onion layers here and make some updates to the templates for support for SAFE 4.5, and I just want to summarize those and then talk to you just really briefly about where we're going. So the terminology changes from value stream to solution do impact the templates. We do need to make some terminology changes. It's not a structural change or a functional change. It's really just to make sure that we continue to be very well aligned with SAFE, and that's really important to us. So terminology changes are going to touch the templates, the process descriptions that we actually point to on DeveloperWorks, and we have links in the work item templates for that. There will be some artifact changes, and I don't consider this to be a full list at the moment, but these are the ones that I know will probably be happening. So including the notion of compliance for enablers, and then adding a compliance section in the solution intent artifact. Also updating the value statements and starting to work in the notion of benefit hypothesis because of the emphasis on lean UX in SAFE 4.5. So those are the key artifact changes right now that I'm teeing up for my team. And also we're going to look at some nuances, differences between the program increment objective or PI objective work item type and iteration objective that now occurs on the big picture at the team level. More significantly, the workflow is changing for capability and feature Kanbans. And this is really to support SAFE 4.5's focus on the continuous delivery pipeline. So there are some additional states at the back end of the workflow that we will be implementing. And then obviously we do publish process guidance, and so we will touch that documentation, update videos, and demo environments. So the next question might be when. The first thing that we will publish is configuration guidelines. So for those of you that are already using SAFE in CLM, we will publish the configuration guidelines really shortly, soon, that show you how to apply the 4.5 changes on top of that if that's something you're interested in. And then directly after that, we will publish beta templates for SAFE 4.5. So those are the very next 2 steps that we're going to make sure that you can take advantage of this with added support that is more out of the box. But just be aware that you can do this today. in with some configuration because the tooling is so highly configurable, and in fact that's how we apply the changes as well. So that's really what I wanted to say, Alan. And if anyone has any questions about 4.5 support, certainly you can reach out to me.
Great.
Okay, so we can go ahead.
Yes, Amy, thanks for that. And if anyone has questions on that, we'll have them in here too. Yigal, let me come back to a question from Gordon. Do you intend to adopt rational QM for test management?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm familiar with that, and I think that one of the next phases that we want to do is also to implement that. Today we're using the quality center, but again, as a strategy decision, I really want to see more activities happening in one suite, and yes, that's the direction.
Got it. Next question from Lucas. What does your PI planning look like? Are you planning PI with teams? How many days, 1 day, or many more days than that?
Okay, so in general, PI planning of a train, and again, train can be a combination of 2, 3, and sometimes 4 products. So PI planning can take between 2 to 3 days. We always trying to shorten the PI planning time as part of the feedback of the teams. It started with a short briefing of something like 2 hours, where the general manager, the product, and R&D directors and architects sharing some information and vision and things like that. And then the team's going into the breakout sessions. We have a draft review, final review, voting, all these ceremonies. So it's around 2 days. We try, because we are, not all the teams are co-located. So we're really trying to take it in consideration. Where the majority is located in the same place, we're trying to bring also the products, the product owners, also that they are located in different places. So in 2 weeks, we actually, in the same times, we split in between with two weeks, but every week we have like 3 PI planning events that can be in parallel. It's challenging with finding the rooms for that, all the preparations, especially for the shared resources that need to be in a different PI planning. But yes, it's a big event. We're spending a lot of time to prepare it, but in the end, after 2 days, we have plans and the team committing on these plans, which is great.
Fantastic. We only have another minute here, a little bit. Just real quickly, Tim asked, at the beginning of the presentation, shared resources were briefly mentioned. Can you describe how shared resources work across teams? Are there challenges since these people are not dedicated to one particular area? This is a good, safe question.
Yeah, definitely it's a good question, and I can tell you that in the last 1.5 years, we changed it a few times. In the beginning, we saw that we should create a system team in each of the train, and they will do the system work as defined by SAFe, but also will do the DevOps activities and things like that. We realized that we cannot push such a big change, especially on the continuous integration and automation, by doing it in the trains. So recently, we actually took people from the different trains, and we created like a mini train, I will say. We put it after the platform train, but we created like a special squad with all the ceremonies, with doing planning and everything, that will deal with the DevOps and the continuous integration. So they will build the infrastructure, and then they will feed it back into the different trains. So it's complex. It's not easy to use shared resources. We try different approaches. Now we're actually in a situation where we have a separate team, and every train, every group actually contribute by giving us 1 to 2 people to work on that. In the end of the day, everyone will be beneficial from that because it will be much faster than working in the train.
Excellent. Igal, we have many more questions. We're going to get them to you and Amy. And hopefully you and Amy will be able to answer some of these offline. We'll include it with the slides, but we're at the top of the hour and we need to call it a day. You know, thank you so much for showing us how SAFE helped NICE Actimize scale Agile to improve quality and speed cycle. I know it's kind of, you know, getting near the end of the day back home for you in Israel, and we've got people from all over the world on here. And thank you for taking time out and showing them. Amy, thank you and the rest of the IBM team, first of all, for sponsoring, but also for contributing to today's webinar. I hope everyone found it useful and informative. Maybe we can dive into this again a little deeper on another webinar in the future. I know SAFE is the whole framework is something that's really exploding worldwide right now. So, but for now, this is Alan Schimmel. It is the top of the hour. We'll call it a day on this webinar. Thanks, IBM, for sponsoring. Thank you all for coming out and listening in, and we'll see you on the next DevOps.com webinar. Have a great day, everyone.